Today we're going to be talking about the Gardai recruiting illegal migrants to join the Garda Síochána, okay? This one's going to be crazy. Alright, so we have Ben Scallon asking the Gardai questions about recruiting people to join the guards at IPAS centres, okay? International Protection Centres, okay? Illegal immigrants, basically. I mean, they're refugees, but nobody knows, sometimes if they're, from wherever they are in the world, or if they have proper passports, proper sort of resident cards, stuff like that, like if they're able to legally allowed to stay in the country. So trying to recruit people from IPAS centers is pretty much insane, guys. That is actually ludicrous because half the people that are at IPAS centers shouldn't be doing anything. I don't think they're even allowed to hold jobs. So this one's going to be a good one, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. He's asking the commissioner, Drew Harris, who is a British man, who is in charge of the Garda Síochána, which in my personal opinion, I don't think anyone, unless you live in the Republic of Ireland and you're actually from the Republic of Ireland, should you be in charge of the guards. That's just me, guys. Call me old school. I don't know, a lad from outside the country should be allowed to, I mean, if he was lived here his whole life, but he didn't even live here his whole life, okay? So the guy has no connection to Ireland, and he's in charge of the guards, okay? Who's to say that the man isn't giving information back to the British? The British were in control of us for 800 years. Now it seems like the EU, Britain, everything are still under our control, in certain aspects, economy-wise. So try and get rid of that as quick as possible. But let's hear what he says.
Commissioner, the report that was launched today speaks at length about respecting and promoting diversity within Garda Síochána, and obviously one ways that the Gardaí have sought to do that is by having recruitment sessions at IPAS centres, and obviously that's one of many venues. I appreciate that it's a wide net that's being cast, but do you think it's appropriate to seek to recruit people from these centres, given that we don't know the legitimacy of whether they are, in fact, who they say they are, if they are asylum seekers legitimately, and they could potentially not even be in the state 6 months from now? Is that really a good and appropriate use of police resources?
I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to, because Garda members, in fact, have to be either Irish or EU citizen on a stamp 4.
So yeah, to join the guards, okay, right off the bat, you have to be an Irish citizen or EU citizen, which kind of limits it down to 500 million people, because if you're just part of the EU, then you can become a citizen, or you can become a guard. If you're an EU citizen of any sort, you can become a guard. That's quite rare, lads. I wouldn't be able to just go to Germany or Poland or Czech Republic and become a guard, because I don't speak the language, and just a whole other bunch of obstacles that are in the way. But in the Gardaí, you don't even have to do 20 push-ups. There's no fitness tests anymore. You can be, apparently here in the citizens information, can anyone join a refugee or family member of such person in relation to whom a refugee declaration is in force? So you're allowed to join the guards if you have a family member, say your dad is an IPAS resident, then you can become a Gardaí here, and continues to be in force for the entire duration of the Garda recruit station. So you can actually join the Gardaí if you're in the International Protection Act 2015, that's actually crazy. Wow. Shout out to Gripped Media for telling us all that in Ireland, because I didn't know that. Under the International Protection Act 2015, and in compliance with the Admissions and Appointments Regulation as amended, be a refugee or family member in a person of related to whom a refugee declaration is in force. So the children of IPAS residents, or if you're a refugee yourself, can actually join. That seems absurd. You can't join the NYPD in the US or the flipping LAPD. You can't join the American police force unless you're a green card holder, which is very close to becoming a citizen. Why the hell do we have these crazy laws in Ireland? Second of all, he said we have these diversity, and the DEI hires, like in Anchorman. Every time I hear diversity, I just think of Anchorman, it's an old wooden ship or whatever, it's just bullshit. Diversity in a vacuum on its own is bullshit. It doesn't make a difference, guys. You have to have the best person for the job.
So in Garda Síochána as a Garda member,
according to FOI documents that was released to my publication a couple of weeks ago, it's confirmed that over the last couple of years, since 2022, there have been these recruitment sessions held by Garda Síochána since 2022 at least.
Yeah, and there's loads of videos on X showing them going to different areas, like to try and recruit people that aren't of Irish, ethnicity, let's just say. I don't know if they're citizens or not, but I mean, if you're a refugee, I'm just saying that these other areas, obviously if you're a refugee, you're not a citizen. But yeah, it's just wild. Everyone, come one, come all, come to Ireland. You can just, live off the state and you get a house given to you. It's like flipping, immigrant paradise.
In IPAS centres.
Yeah, explicitly so.
How do we do that? No, I'm quite confused because, as I say, Irish EU citizen stamp 4 are prohibited from joining the Garda Síochána as a Garda member. May join as Garda staff and indeed have been doing so.
Oh.
So someone seeking asylum and with the national detection system, there's no route through for them to join Garda Síochána.
So would you have any reaction, I suppose, then to the news that, I mean, as recently as February of this year, these recruitment sessions were being held, and
I'll have to look to that further because I honestly that is entirely news to me. And I say I think probably what you're talking about is outreach sessions to IPAS centres so that people understand the role of Garda Síochána as a community-based policing service here in Ireland. I know those go on. I don't think those could be remotely considered as recruitment sessions.
That's how it was labelled in the FOI.
If I could just make one clarification there, the candidate booklet for applicants to join in Garda Síochána clearly states that under the International Protection Act, people who have got certain declarations and have achieved certain residency are entitled to apply. Once they apply, they then go through the same stringent vetting that any other member of a Garda Síochána will go through.
Huh.
It's in the booklets up on our website.
So they are eligible to apply.
If they meet certain requirements.
Perfect, yeah.
Oh my days. So that was a pretty clear-cut answer there. So what do you say? So he said if the international protection people meet clear-cut standards, which we don't know what those certain declarations and certain residencies are. I mean, it's either you're an IPAS resident or you're a citizen of Ireland. There's no in-between there. So I don't exactly know. So certain residents, maybe like a background check. If you're an IPAS member and you have a background check, you can join the Guards. I mean, not that they even background check the people coming in, because it seems like half these people don't even have passports. They have no background check. They're like they're like Jason Bourne when they come to the country. Nobody knows where they're from. It's like a flipping, like that movie, The Bourne Identity. That's what it's like, lads. Just completely nobody knows what's going on. Like fly-by-night business. And if you're bringing somebody into the Gardaí, you'd want them to be super, top secret background check, top secret clearance. You want to have them just like flipping rigorously checked before any sort of thing is done. Because if you get into the police and you're not rigorously checked, there can be a sort of issue of security, like a big security breach. So yeah, absolutely crazy, insane to see that Drew Harris didn't know about that. Now Drew Harris, maybe he doesn't know every single law, but that's a pretty big one, guys. It's a pretty big one. Like, I understand if he wouldn't know certain laws, like Section 8, Section this, Section 9, but not knowing that who can join the police force, I mean, he's the commissioner. He's the guy that brings people in. So you think that he would know who is allowed to join the police force in this country. In our country, sorry. Not his country. His country is England, I believe, or Northern Ireland. I don't know. That seems pretty absurd to me. I'm quite confused, he said. Okay, so... And he mentioned about this sort of outreach that the police do. That's great, guys. When the Gardaí, they used to come into us when we were in primary school, and, I would ask the question, I remember I asked the question, do you have bulletproof vests? And then he kind of started chuckling. He was like, well, I think you've been watching too much CSI, too many of this kind of movies, American movies. And, obviously I have. I was watching Rambo at 11 years old. But, he said, no, we don't have bulletproof vests, but we have stab-proof vests and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I understand, that the community outreach is good. The community outreach is actually great for kids and young adults and people that want to join. Maybe they should go to, rugby training camps and get people that are fit and strong. Hiring these DEI woke hires, they're not going to do anything. Unfortunately, hiring a 5'2", little chubby woman, no offense to anyone like that, I'm not saying you're bad, but for this certain role, you know, I think you should be a big 6 foot tall man that can handle, you know, fit man, a really athletic man that can handle the shit in the city. You know, if you're like a little small man, if you're 5'2" as a man as well, no hate on you, but maybe you don't fit the role for being in the Gardaí or like the army or whatever. The army actually is different. 5'2" is great for the army because you can avoid the bullets better. You know, you can shoot back, you can hide in little holes better, you can flip and, you know, hide in a foxhole better. But, you know, having these certain roles for just Gardaí or whatever is just bullshit, guys. Like when the shit hits the fan and, you know, the little tiny woman or little tiny man that can't handle the aggressor or whatever, the criminal, you know, that's not going to be good. You know, they're going to get themselves hurt, guys. So it's really crazy to see there's no sort of checks and balances. But, you know, with the actual recruitment, I mean, no checks and balances with the recruitment, lads. I mean, that's something to be seen, like a movie. But I love you all. If you want to help keep pushing back against mainstream media, hit the join link underneath the video. Become a member today. And I'll see you all in the next one, guys. Peace.